Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome to the AMA again. It's been a minute since I've done this. Kaiser, the usual host for the AMA, and I'm very excited to hear what the special guest has to share today. We have Kunji Finance. Okay, the stage is all yours. Can you introduce yourself to the audience?
Yeah, sure. So, hey everyone. So, I'm Anurag. I work with Kunji Finance and the strategy team. And let me give you a brief about Kunji Finance. So, it's a decentralized asset management protocol that connects two kinds of users basically. First are the asset managers who want to deploy their strategies, like discretionary strategies, in a decentralized manner, right? And they can manage the AUMs and they can get the trading profits commissions. And the second set of users are those who are looking to deploy their funds, who are looking for active strategies to earn trading based profits on their stable coins funds. And it is done in a non custodial way, and we don't ask their private key. They can simply deposit, withdrawal their funds from the user wallet. So that's the brief. And if I talk about myself, I started in crypto Web3 back in 2018, and I was a passive investor, and then I invested into ICOs, and I was into buying the top five market cap coins back in those days, and then I went full time in crypto during the techie summer 2020. And then I work with various crypto startups across the globe. I work with agencies and exchanges, and I work with crypto media houses, publish research articles. And for the past 1 year, I'm working with Kunji Finance and building this protocol. And I'm excited for the future, and especially the Bitcoin halving event, which is yet to be, yeah, which is going to happen next year. And hopefully it will get the next bull run.
Wow. So you've been around since 2018. That means you've been around since, a while ago. A lot of people just started getting into Web3, or even the crypto space just 2 years ago when there was like a huge bull market. So it's nice to hear that, you've been around for a while and, you also like hopped into this space, this industry and started building.
Yeah. So initially the greed got me good because I've seen like making my 6 month salary in like 2 3 months back in 2018. So that's how the crypto has introduced me initially. But now when I look into DeFi and then see the other wealth creating opportunities, I went full time and started building stuff instead of simply being a customer or user of the programs.
Yeah, it's definitely hard building. Like, from the outside
Definitely.
world, a lot of people do not realize that, building in Web3 or in the crypto space is actually very difficult. It's super challenging, especially around like
Exactly.
the bear market. Like right now, all you can do is build. There's
True.
nothing else you can do. Like the retail money is not gonna flow in anytime soon. The economy isn't
Yeah.
looking that bright as well. So right now, all we can do is build. But
True.
I do want to ask you more about Kunji Finance, right? Can you tell us a little bit more about the project's background, perhaps the project's like mission and the vision, the team, and what you guys are actually building?
So the idea about Kunji Finance came into mind when we saw that various crypto hedge funds or various companies who were exposed to centralized exchanges like FTX, they lost their money. Even being profitable with their discretionary strategies, they had to shut down their operations. I mean, there was this hedge fund who even shorted the Luna before the crash. They predicted the crash pretty well. Still, they have to shut down the operations. So that shows that the centralized risk is could be uh, uh, bad for those companies who are doing good for the crypto economy. So and we saw that there was a need for a decentralized infrastructure for such companies or for the traditional financiers who want to deploy their strategies in a decentralized fashion. And the second thought which came into our mind that most of the users in DeFi like are attracted towards the yields or passive income or the better returns, right? So there was apart from lending and yield farming and leverage yield farming, there was a need for something which actively manages their funds, and these funds need to be managed by the experienced asset managers, right? They cannot be managed by any other trader who simply trade one asset. So it requires a particular strategies that involve spot and derivative both. So for those users, for an average Joe who simply want to deploy their funds and want to earn simply ROI on stable coins and in a non-custodial fashion, we don't want their funds in our our custody, right? We don't want their private key. They can deposit, withdraw their funds any time of the day. So because after the FTX, after the centralized fiasco, right, most of the volume we saw is was migrating from the centralized exchanges to decentralized exchanges, and Uniswap and all that. They were starting making generating fees. A lot of all time high. They generated fees all time high, and we saw that there was a shift, gradual shift of people perception from centralized exchanges to a decentralized exchanges and keeping their funds in custody. And then they started realizing the risk of keeping their funds on the centralized exchanges. And but still they want to get involved with DeFi, and they want to get involved with this wealth creating opportunities of crypto. So these are the two foundational ideas which we thought, and then we started building around like Kunji Finance, and yeah, and if you talk about the team is like decentralized, we can say, because most of the teams, some teams are like based in India, some teams are based in Singapore, some teams are based in Hong Kong, and it is remotely managed by a few managers. And if I talk about the communities, like obviously since we launched like 2 3 months back, after the like early growth adopter program. The community on the Discord grew to 18K members and 25K followers on Twitter. Even we got the developer grant from Alchemy, which is we all gonna build it grant. So yeah, we have achieved certain milestone which we are proud of, and even we released a beta version of our platform to the early adopter users, like 500 users who can simply right now test, and they can deploy $50 worth of liquidity to the strategies which is available. So yeah, that is the brief about the project vision, and why we are building this and what we are trying to solve.
Oh, that sounds super sick, man. Like especially when you guys are solving some issue that actually has a use case in the real world as well. And you're very right. Like back then, a lot of people hopped onto like FTX, like centralized exchanges. But the irony of it was, crypto exists, so there is no central like regular body or something. But given that FTX crashed and all that crap happened like last year and last year, it's been quite a ride. But it's for sure, it's certain that a lot of people are moving from CFI to DeFi. That's for sure because of the trust that was broken in centralized exchanges. I do know a lot of people that were affected by FTX, and it's good that some projects like you guys are actually building and solving those issues. So hats off to you guys.
Yeah, thanks. Even if you can see, like for the past 2 3 weeks, there is a FUD around like Binance that they might be bankrupt, or they might end their services or something. So people are kind of scared of centralized exchanges right now. They are looking for alternative. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's the best time for a DeFi to grow and show their potential.
Yeah, and I also believe that when back then, like crypto was still a fairly new space for a lot of people. Like if you think about it, we have yet to even reach like mass adoption of like 20%, and back then it was easier for people to kind of like hop on from Web 2 to centralized exchanges and just get into the crypto space. So I believe that made it possible for a lot of like centralized exchanges to grab this pool of like users, right? But now that like people have already hopped into like crypto, they're somewhat aware of like decentralized finance. They know what is a wallet. It makes the entire like process of hopping onto like DeFi a lot more smooth as well, because there are a lot of contents, a lot of tutorials, a lot of like articles on DeFi. So I'm pretty sure people are like more curious about decentralized finance after all that happened as well. So what we can do is we can just keep building, and we can keep like educating the masses, and that's what we can actually do to make the entire DeFi process smooth as well.
True. I mean, I've seen like people also getting involved in yield farming or leverage yield farming, and some projects like you are also trying to make it easier for a newbie, for an average Joe to use such wealth growing opportunities. So, can you like tell us your story, your about the project, how you guys come up with this single finance protocol?
Of course, thank you so much for asking. So it's actually a very funny story. Our founders, right? They were actually avid like farmers back in the days, and they actually got attacked by a flash loan, and they got liquidated. So, like any other brand, there's always a story behind, and I love to tell this story because it's pretty much my go-to story nowadays, right? Yield farmers are pretty much deceived by all this sky high like APY shown, not APY,
Yeah, yeah,
sorry, and but then they're not really aware of like the risk involved in the DeFi space. So when a new person right starts farming, they don't really know what are the risks. They just see, oh, very attractive juicy APY, and they just want to like ape into it like any other crypto bro. And this kind of led the founding team to start single finance because they were also a victim of the flash loan and they got liquidated, right? So they wanted to enable yield farmers with a very smooth farming experience, but also to protect their interests. So, single finance is a leverage yield farming protocol on Chronos and Phantom, but we recently expanded to Arbitrum to provide a very smooth, streamlined farming experience to users. Because what they realized was that, hey, farming through like Camelot, it's super complicated, right? There's so much like manual stuff you have to do. And we thought about it, hey, why don't we just integrate with Camelot as well? So, single finance is the first protocol to offer US dollar based capital protecting strategies for leverage yield farmers. So it's a lot easier for someone who just started off in DeFi to read the position in US dollars instead of like token value, because it can get super confusing with all this like denominators, right? And it is a platform where farmers do not have to actually monitor the market, but they can also apply very complex yet time sensitive like stop loss mechanism with something more accurate indicators to reflect their positions. So the vision behind single finance is to enable a very smooth yield farming experience and to just protect users' interests, but to also educate the community on DeFi strategies. Very similar to what you guys are also doing, but we're more focused on the farmer side.
that's great. I mean, we even choose like Arbitrum initially because of the transaction fees and costs and scalability, which issues of the Ethereum which they are solving. So that's a great update for us. Like you are moving to Arbitrum because I guess the Arbitrum ecosystem will grow eventually, and more protocols will launch on Arbitrum. Like Uniswap and all other protocols are supporting Arbitrum now. So I think we Arbitrum has a decent future in the coming years.
I agree with you. Like Arbitrum is the most trending ecosystem recently as well. Like if you think about there was some noise around like Polygon, but I think the hype has died down because just a few months ago, I remember Polygon being like all around the news. Like a lot of NFT projects were also moving towards Polygon as well from Solana, but then projects like DGOD and Utes like they left Polygon and moved to like Ethereum. So there's a whole entire like politics going on in Web3 ecosystem as well. So it's super weird, but Arbitrum's definitely having like that traction where they're gaining a lot of users. They're actually growing their daily users as well, and a lot of protocols are building on top of building on Arbitrum, and you guys just recently also launched on Arbitrum, right?
Yeah, yeah. We initially thought of like using first of all like Cosmos app chain, but yeah, but we saw that most of the decentralized perpetual protocols like GMX, if you have heard, and other protocols like they started building on Arbitrum, and they are the top projects on those Arbitrum because of its transaction cost, because it offers lesser transaction cost and faster execution speed, right? So that is a very first requirement of any trading protocol, that we need to cut down those fees so that we can optimize the returns better to the users and even for the asset managers, so that the trades are quickly deployed on these protocols. And they keep on the like GMX, if we talk about, they keep on developing newer versions of the protocol. They started including stop limit and limit orders. So obviously this is an advantage for our protocol because we have also partner integrated various other protocols, including GMX, MUX protocol, and these are all on Arbitrum. And we have seen that now the protocols like trading protocols are gradually shifting from the AML, right, user supplied liquidity, to a traditional order book. Like some protocols are building those traditional order books for the institutions, and like I cannot recall the name of the protocol. So they are building a traditional order book on the Arbitrum, which is quite similar to what exchange-like exchanges were offering. So we see this trend, and we thought of, okay, let's choose Arbitrum, and it is also, it has a very supportive development ecosystem for the developers. So yeah, that's why like we chose Arbitrum and instead of other chains initially.
Yeah, I agree with you. From my observation, right, on Arbitrum ecosystem, what I've realized is there are a lot of like day traders or swing traders. It's not like other ecosystem where people would just stake or like just farm. I realized that Arbitrum, they have a lot of like day traders or swing traders. They're more like active, proactive on like taking their profits instead of just leaving it out there, and
Yeah.
they like to take advantage of that. And like you said, right, it's very fast execution, low gas fees, hence why like I believe it has made it possible for a lot of like day traders and swing traders to kind of just hop in and then hop out of a position as well.
Yeah, yeah, true. I mean, if I talk about like data, right? Arbitrum is still like making 100K worth of dollars per day fees, like, and while the Polygon is making like 20K fees, even they were launched like few years before Arbitrum. So that says a lot of stuff about like what Arbitrum can offer eventually, right? So it can be seen on the fees as well. Like more and more protocols or dApps are being developed on Arbitrum, right?
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah, that's very true. So since we integrated with Arbitrum, since we expanded on Arbitrum recently, it has only been like a few months, right? And it seems like a very rocky road for a very niche market, like niche product like us, because we're not a native project there as well. We actually expanded from Chronos and Phantom, right? And and in a way, we can say, hey, we do provide the same service as Sushi Swap for farming. You mentioned the Sushi Swap has been getting a lot of traction, right? But then if we were to look at our farming pairs, for example, let's say, for example, like Wrap ETH with like USDC pair, right? We do have higher APY, even at a default setting of like 1x. It is due to the auto compound feature. So if you were to go farm on Sushi Swap and go farm on single finance, we'll give you significantly higher like APY. Maybe not significantly, depending on like how much like auto compound it takes into account. But we do realize that hey, our farming is a lot higher than like Sushi swaps. That goes for both like farming pair and the market neutral strategy as well. And as for the Camelot integration, so you guys has probably heard of like Camelot, right? If you are on Arbitrum, since we got integrated with Camelot, we're actually the only protocol to be whitelisted by Camelot on Arbitrum. So what we have done, what the value we have added, is actually we have streamlined the entire farming process and the farming experience. It is as seamless as it can be. Like even a third grader would be able to open a position on single finance, whereas on Camelot it would be a bit like complicated with extra steps, right? So the Camelot pools, all the LPs we support, the Nitro pool, the yield booster. We also ensure that the users are boosted and they can generate maximum returns. Another thing is that we also help to allocate their X-Grow returns automatically so they do not miss out on their rewards or have to do it through like the manual harvest method. So it amplifies their position while also, single finance covers the gas fees for doing the heavy lifting. So those are the few things that, Arbitrum has allowed single finance to do as well.
So I have one question. So what's the like usual APY for stablecoin yield farmers, like one for 1x or 2x leverage?
Are you asking about on Arbitrum or
Yeah, on Arbitrum.
Arbitrum? So for us, we have two pairs. We actually have Rep ETH with USDC. So let me explain a little bit more on the APY. So right now, currently, if I'm going on, let me just quickly pull out the chart. So at 1x, it's actually 14.62%. And if you were to go at 2x, it's 29.81%. And then at 3x, it's actually 46.01% for Wrap ETH USDC farming pair. So let me explain a little bit more on why this happens and how we can provide the APY. So we have this feature called the boost multiplier, right? The boost multiplier is no short of miracle, right? If you think about it, it is offering an additional layer of extra boosting, and how users can actually find it is if they were to go to our farming section on Single Finance DF, they can actually see the orange banner that says boost multiplier. So it can go up to like 2x as well. So the boost multiplier. So what it does is Single Finance actually allocates the treasury by sponsoring the yield boosting effect to the selected farms. So in this case, it would be RAP ETH and USDC, and then it kind of reallocates to the other features of the farms as well. So users can actually enjoy the benefit of juicy but supreme boosted returns from this feature without any additional cost. So the built-in functions of it is, of course, the auto compounding, the automatic nitro like pool tracing, optimizing farming experience, and it provides the maximum returns. So very similar to like your farming position being on steroids. It provides the maximum return on Camelot farming pairs. So this happens because we are actually sponsoring the yield boosting effect, and also it is because they don't have to pay for gas fees. And the third thing is we have the auto compound feature as well that helps them harvest the entire position.
That's great. That's great. So, like, suppose if a newbie, like anybody who's joined FE, so what would you recommend to a newbie, like how to utilize your single finance platform in terms of lending, in terms of farming tools, how they should start with like using the product so that they get a better returns, better APY, but lesser risk because since they are not used to such higher risk of DeFi or e farming, right? So, what do you
That's
suggest to a
a great,
newbie?
yeah, that's a great question. So let me start off with what we offer. So the products we offer is actually market neutral strategy. We have the staking, the auto vault. So in other words, it's auto delta rebalancing vault, and then we have lending, and of course leverage yield farming. Right. The features we have along with them is capital protection bot, auto compound, auto stop loss, and auto rebalancing. So this is to find the optimal moments to rebalance the position in order to deliver like a real stable yield in the long term, right? What I would suggest a newbie, especially someone who's not as knowledgeable about leverage yield farming, then I would say, hey, we do have a lending pool where users can actually earn and generate yield from. So that way, they have to do is have the token that allows them to lend on single finance, and just deposit it. It's simple click, like it's a single click. They'll be able to just deposit and earn up to maybe like 8 to 20%. So for example, right now
That's great.
USDC is actually at 20.39% APY. So how this actually generates yield or returns is when they lend it out, leverage yield farmer would be borrowing their borrowed asset, and then the farmers has to repay back the interest, right? And that's how it generates the lending APY.
Uh,
And the second thing is, of course, this one's on Chronos. Maybe like a lot of people might not be on Chronos, but we do have the Auto Vault, like I mentioned. It provides like real stable yield in the long term, even though it might be like 10 to 13% APY. It is very stable, and what I can say is that all they have to do is just deposit it. It's very similar to like lending, but it's staking in a auto vault. And someone with like a very high risk tolerant, of course, you can always do the Camelot farming or leverage yield farming on our platform.
that's great. I mean, what I believe is that the more simpler you provide I think UI or UX to an average Joe or a newbie, the better he will be able to interact with the DeFi, and that's great for both, like for the DeFi growth and as well as for the cost. So it's all
Yeah,
about like making it simpler for the newbies
yeah,
because
that's very
they
true.
yeah because they cannot know what how the APY is being provided to them behind
Yes,
this, right?
you
That's great.
definitely have
What you
good.
just said.
Yes, you definitely have like good insight. And of course, since you asked about single finance, I'm gonna ask the same question for like Kunji Finance as well. How would one start their journey on Kunji Finance, and what kind of product would you recommend to them?
See, like I said initially, that we are trying to like target two kinds of users majorly. Like first are those asset managers who have developed some profitable strategies, discretionary strategies, and they are looking for a decentralized way of deploying the strategy. So they can go to the platforms, and there's a partner form which they have to fill up, and then we eventually validate those details, and we go through various checks before we are allowing them to deploy the strategies on a protocol. That is for the asset managers, and they will be provided with AUMs, and they will be provided with trading based profit. And then when we talk about other users like general users or newbies who just want to deploy their funds and they want to earn some profits on their stable coin funds and all that. So what they can do is that they can simply go to the platform, they can connect their wallet, and they have to deploy. They have to send their funds to a user vault, and those user vault we don't have any access like deposit or withdrawal access to that. Only the user can access those vault. They can deploy and they can simply deposit and withdraw funds, but we cannot. We just have trading rights. So they just need to connect their wallet, deploy their funds, and they can see the strategies performance, they can see the profit, they can see everything on the dashboard which we will be providing. So we are trying to keep it very non-custodial and decentralized and transparent, which is the basic of any DeFi application like transparency. So in this way, these two users can interact with the product. And then we have also we will be introducing staking, and we will be introducing voting processes for holders and stakers. So that is something on the timeline and on the pipeline. So yeah, these are the things any newbie or any asset managers can do to interact with our protocols. For right now, the beta version of our platform is open to the 500 users of our early adopters, so they have access now, and we will soon open it for the public as well. Yeah, that's it.
Wow, that's sick, man. That sounds solid. So, any feedback so far from the 500 early adopters, or is it still on the
It is still in progress. We just launched 2 days, 1 days back. So we are taking feedbacks, and we are taking feedback from the Telegram. Like we are asking what kind of strategies you will like, what kind of risk you will be requiring, and what kind of funds you want to deploy, whether the minimum should be at $10 or $50. That kind of feedback we are taking, and what kind of scrutiny processes you want for asset managers to deploy the strategies. So that is still in progress. We are taking feedback, but so far it is great. Not from the users, but also from the other protocols. Like you can see GMX and Arbitrum, they all are reposting our post after we went live. So yeah, we are gradually making progress in this bear market and building for the users.
Yep. Yeah, right now I guess you guys are doing like product research and like market research. It's all about like iterating afterwards. But I wish you guys all the best because you guys are working on something very cool, much needed in the space as well, and you guys have like your go to market strategy as well. So it's sick. It's good.
Yeah. Thanks.
And you did mention that Arbitrum has been very supportive. I guess GMX as well. And we saw that you guys recently completed your audit, which is a big step in the Web3 space. So what's next on the roadmap?
See, the next on the roadmap is we will be doing a TG next month, and we are also in talks with the top tier exchanges to list our tokens. And then we will also open 500 or more users for accessing our beta platform. So these are on the pipeline, and we are in the talks with various KOS and all that for the marketing go to marketing strategies. We will be integrating other Web3 wallets, and we are still in talks. So yeah, these are on the pipeline for the next month. But TG and listing on the tier on the exchanges are kind of confirmed for the next month or so. So officially we'll announce that. For now, these are on the pipeline.
Yep. Oh, sounds exciting, especially for the TG as well.
Yeah, we thought of releasing the product first and then looking for token sale or something or TG.
Right? Yep. It's always good to kind of have like a product out there before you do a token sale. But I do know a lot of crypto as well. Like before they even release their product, they sell the idea, and it just moons. And the next thing you know, right after like the public offering, it tanks as well. So it's all about.
Yeah, it's all about building for the users. We are here not to just simply make money, but also do something for the DeFi community, right? Because crypto is an opportunity to grow your wealth, and that's what we are trying to achieve. That for the general user, for an average Joe who wants to interact with the crypto community, because there's already lots of scams, and the average Joe, what they are unaware of the scams and unaware of the Ponzi schemes, and they lose their money, and simply they get some bad vibes from this crypto community. But we are trying to work the other way around, and I'm trying to do better for the community.
Yep, that's very very true. Like it's the harsh truth though. Like whenever you think about crypto, the first thing you think about is Bitcoin. The second thing you think about is scam. So
True.
that's the message it has. Like that's the reflection of like the community and the space as well. And what we can do is we can just keep building. We can keep educating the users, the masses, and we can hopefully change their perception as well. Because eventually people have to uh, adapt to like all this Web3 space as well.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, so I've pretty much asked you all the questions that I wanted to ask you. If there is anything else that you do like to address, feel free to kind of like voice it out as well.
All good from my side. I think whatever I want to know, single finance, whatever I want to like convey about what we are trying to build, I have done so far. So good. Like what I believe is that bear market is the best time to build, and a bull market is to reap your hard work, and that is what we are aiming for. So right now we are just focusing on building and what gaps are involved in crypto, and we are trying to fill those gaps using our protocols. That is what we believe right now, and hopefully we'll do, and hopefully we'll have a better bull run in the next halving event or so.
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
and we
Yes,
have a
sir.
better regulation.
Yeah. Yes, sir. I mean, we're still in the infantile like stage, man. Like I
Yeah,
believe all of our hard work is gonna pay off eventually. We just have to ride it out like any other like bear market.
yeah, true. I agree.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Thank you so much for hopping on this AMA, and thank you everyone for listening as well. I'm very very grateful for Kunji Finance to actually come and have this talk. I have some clarity on what Kunji Finance is about. I can't wait till they actually release it to the public as well. I don't mind if they give me a white list for their next beta
Sure.
launch as well.
Sure. Let me
Test it out
continue soon.
and do some like product feedback. More than happy to do that. So you guys can also keep uh, stay up to date with Kunji Finance. Remember to follow them on Twitter, by the way, guys, and then join their Telegram group. Join their Discord group as well. Stay up to date with their news. They're building something really cool. I believe it's going to be something big as well, given that they have two markets, two segments to kind of like chase after as well.
Yeah. Hopefully, thanks for hosting me. Yes, sir. It was lovely, like discussing all the things about the Kunji Finance and knowing about your project.
Yeah.
Hopefully, we'll have some partnership or synergy in the coming days.
Yes.
Uh, yeah.
Yep.
And
So yeah, stay tuned, guys. We actually have something in plan in the future as well with Kunji Finance. We'll just let them keep building, and then once they're ready, our door is always open.
yeah. Same here. Same here. Thanks.
Okay, thanks everyone. Thank you
Thanks,
so much.
everyone.
Love you all. Thank you so much. Have a good day. Have a good morning. Have a good afternoon. Good night, wherever you guys are. Stay blessed.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.